Welcome back to my channel, Survive and Thrive, where I talk about financial strategies to help build your wealth in the short term or the long term, and really put yourself on that path of financial freedom. Today I wanted to focus on this concept of how to live within your means, which in my opinion is one of the most important aspects of really training yourself to find ways to be financially responsible and make the most of your money. Let's focus today on some key concepts of how to successfully live within your means, which is the most important step to your debt freedom. Starting with number one, knowing how much to make. Number two, spending less money than you bring in. Number three, boosting your income. Number four, stop relying on credit cards. Number five, don't try to keep up with the Joneses or the Hiltons. Number six, save up for purchases instead of putting them on credit. And number seven, building an emergency fund. I think these are all great concepts and ideas that you should think about in terms of building your path to financial freedom. But really the one I wanted to focus on today is number two, and that's spending less money than you bring in. Now there's a lot of different concepts or strategies on how you can do that, but one approach I really wanted to focus in on was this idea of dining out versus eating at home or brown bagging your lunch. I know this isn't the most entertaining way to spend your weeks eating lunch that is homemade all the time, but these little changes in your daily lifestyle and really taking the steps to moderation can add to the amount of money that you are saving, converting to assets, and compounding growth. One article I found, don't eat out as often. The average American eats an average of 4.2 commercially prepared meals per week. In other words, we eat out about 4 to 5 times a week. This number equates to 18.2 meals in the average month eating outside the home. And I really wanted to explore what this really means in terms of dollars. So what kind of money are we talking about here? The average American spends $232 per month eating meals prepared outside the home. Given that there's 18.2 meals eaten outside the home in an average month by the average American, the average meal outside the home costs a person $12.75. And I can say from my own experience, anytime that I don't brown bag a lunch when I go to work and I go eat out, it's usually costing me anywhere from $8 to $10 per meal. Now comparing that to actually eating meals at home, there are some averages out there. If we take the average of $4 per meal when you prepare food at home, this would equate to an average savings of $36.75 per person per week if you move all of your meals from dining out to home prepared meals. Like I said, these are strategies that are being discussed in terms of moderation. So I wouldn't expect somebody to totally go this route, but just to show the full potential of the savings that we're talking about, I wanted to take a look at compound savings calculator and some average interest rates to show you what the potential could be. Taking a look at this compound interest calculator, so that savings equates to $140 a month. And if we convert this to the length of time to 25 years at a 6% interest rate annual, that money savings results in, over 25 years, just over $92,000, which is huge when you think about making such a small change and finding a very significant return. Taking this same $140 per month over 25 years at an interest rate of 8%, that would equate to $122,000, a very big number for a very small sacrifice. And this third example, at a 10% return over 25 years, over $165,000. Wow. I mean, just to think, to be able to have that kind of money and really make a significant difference in your overall financial health and freedom, it's just great to see that you really can do this if you put your mind to it and really focus. Now, like I said, I don't think it's realistic to think that somebody is going to completely cut dining out and just eat homemade meals. But if you do make some of these small changes, and I'll show on this next slide an example of making a smaller change over even a fifth of the time at 5 years, that you're still making a very big gain in the terms of money that you will have. All right, so in this example, it's the same $140 per month at 5 years with a 6% interest rate, which is probably on the lower end of the average interest. But just to show you, we'll go down to the results to see what you can make in 5 years. So as you can see, the results over 5 years at a 6% interest, just over 9K. It does seem like you do have to wait for quite some time to really make this happen. And like I said, I don't think it's realistic to think that you are going to make 100% sacrifice to make some of these changes. But I think that if you start combining some of these strategies with some other small, modest changes and really think about expenses in moderation, that you can start to really build and compound your growth of assets and the money or actual resource that you'll have down the road that will really start to put you in a position where you aren't relying on credit and payments, and having access to that money when you need it and being able to really make the purchases that are going to maximize your money. Some examples I can think of for just over 9K, for me personally, there's the everyday expenses or, the larger purchases with owning a home, whether that's replacing a water heater or having something to do with unexpected expenses, such as toilets having to be replaced or being able to pay for work on your vehicle when you have maintenance issues, replacing new tires on your car, which is one of the worst ways that I can think of to spend money, but is a necessary evil. And then also thinking about that mindset of the wealthy investor, or changing from being rich to being wealthy. And a lot of times you'll see that people who are wealthy will actually focus in on being smart about where they spend their money, and the purchases that you make are focused on making memories or things that are going to be long lasting when you actually make that purchase. And sometimes that means that you're going to spend it on things like having fun, like going on vacation or taking those long weekends to the beach, being able to pay for yearly passes for snowboarding or skiing, for years off of $9,000. So really, if you focus in on what your financial goals are and what you want to be able to remember in terms of how you spent your money, you'll find that making these small changes or sacrifices at the end of the day are really worth it. So that's all I wanted to touch on for today. If you found value or liked the content that was covered, please hit that like button and subscribe. Turn on that bell so you're notified as new content is uploaded. Make it a great week. Keep that long-term focus in mind. And don't just survive, thrive.